Welcome back, YouTube, to more MSQ playthrough. We are in Endwalker, and we have just wrapped up finding a couple of bodies. Body-yaddies. So let's go ahead and pop into it. We're talking with Alpha Node. We have already caused enough harm here. Let us return to the camp before we cause any more. As for those inside the house, we should send someone to take care of them. Someone who isn't us. All we can do for now is to make our report to Lucia and do everything in our power to prevent further tragedy. So let us linger here no more. Alice and Alphanode tell me they have finished their preliminary search for survivors, but refrain from saying much more than that. Clearly, they are reluctant to provide details. Might I ask for your account?
Thank you for your report. We shall inform the troops of these developments and instruct them to proceed with the utmost caution should they encounter any survivors.
Allow me to go and speak with the ones at the victor's spoils. They may be more willing to listen to a fellow Garlean and accept our offer of assistance.
I pray you are right. And though I am loath to burden you any further, should there be an appropriate occasion to speak of Licinia and her sister, please do so.
I am sorry to have put you through this.
My distress is nothing compared to their suffering. So tell me, what else have we learned?
As you may have already heard, we have succeeded in curing the members of the Popularis, Maxima identified. They have provided us with some intriguing insights into the current state of Garlemald. The assassination of Emperor Varus was the catalyst for the civil war. Nerva declared his claim to the throne, and his opponents refused to recognize it. Fighting broke out in the capital, where Nerva's Third Legion clashed with the First, who remained loyal to Varus even after his death.
Of course, even Imperial warmongers would balk at the idea of turning their shining city into a battleground. Like burning down the wood to spite the wasps. Neither side would be so mad. Unless something or someone inflamed their animosity to such an extent that they could not help but act against their better judgment.
It brings to mind events at the Gimlet Dark, does it not? The Emperor's sudden withdrawal from the front lines, specifically. Nerva and his father, Titus, Varus's then political rival, took advantage of rumors that Crown Prince Xenos had been possessed by a demon.
Elidibus, what better way to disparage your enemies than with the truth, or a close enough approximation?
Indeed. But before their accusations could be substantiated, many of Titus's followers were silenced. While some were merely stripped of their status, others died under curious circumstances. One after another, suddenly and suspiciously.
Again, Elidibus. Like as not, he had a hand in it. No evidence was found to implicate Varus, certainly. Nevertheless, Titus, Nerva, and the Third Legion would have judged it a brazen attempt by the Emperor to rid himself of his political enemies. And then, in the midst of this growing turmoil, Varus Sosgalvis is murdered. And Garlemald's own prodigal son, Gaius van Belsar, is named the murderer. Shortly thereafter, Nerva claims the right of succession, and in response, the First Legion claims the assassination was part of a coup d'etat orchestrated by Titus and Nerva.
So no one is at fault, and everyone else is to blame.
I should add that both parties received substantial financial backing, presumably to provide them with the means and encouragement to pursue a swift victory, and that these contributions came from the self-same benefactor.
I'd heard House Brutus had been filling the Third Legion's coffers, but the First as well.
It would seem so. Though the Populares determined that the First Legion received funds from a variety of organizations, all had connections to House Brutus.
So Fandaniel, in the guise of Asahi, was playing both sides against each other the entire time.
The information we gained from my friends does not end there. One night, shortly after fighting broke out, the capital was shaken by an immense tremor. From that point onward, they have no memories, no recollection of any events, including our clash on the Magna Glaciers. But when asked about the Imperial Palace and its bizarre transformation, they somehow recall Emperor Varus giving them orders in their dreams. May the Tower of Babel stand as testament to the glory of Garlemald.
This sounds awfully familiar.
We have something to show you all.
Varus spoke to them through this radio. Perhaps it was a recording, but if not, that would be inexplicable.
We are of one mind, then.
The ether that permeates the ore used in this device is almost identical to that of the talismans.
I see it. While it is likely more by coincidence than design, these devices might also ward against a primal's influence. A picture is beginning to form. If the tremor felt throughout Garlemald was a wave of ether emitted by a primal, then while those within range would have been tempered, those huddled around a radio desperate for news concerning the Civil War would have been spared.
No wonder Licinia kept it close.
My friends, I must speak with you. A young man was caught trying to steal our supplies. He is a soldier of the Iron Men, we think, but one who has not been made thrall. Thankfully, Magni restrained him before blood was spilled. The stranger is outside, if you wish to ask him questions.
I think we do.
You didn't disarm him? He's got a knife on his back.
Garleans? Traitors to your homeland! Have you no shame?
I am Lucia Junius, a Temple Knight of Ishgard. And you are?
Iulus Pier Norbanus. And that's all you invaders will get from me.
We are not here to invade Garlemald. Far from it. Like you, our allies in Eorzea and the Far East fight in defense of their lives and their loved ones even as we speak. But it is the people of Garlemald who have suffered most. This we know. And that is why we have come to offer you our aid, that we may unite against our common foe. Whether you believe me or not, those are the facts. Now, answer me this. Why would a proud soldier of the Empire be reduced to stealing? The situation must be dire indeed for you to go to such lengths. If it is supplies you seek, we would gladly share ours, or turn a blind eye while you leave with your spoils.
I will not negotiate. My commander will determine how to deal with you and yours. If you wish to treat with him, I will take you.
but no more than 3.
I don't much like the sound of that. But if we do accept his proposal, I suggest the 2 of us and...
Please allow me and Alize to act as envoys.
May I ask why?
We have seen with our own eyes the hardships the Garleans face. How their futures and lives hang in the balance.
It's not the warmest invitation, but it's an opportunity to prove our intentions true. Maybe not a chance to make things right, but a chance to make them better.
Going with you.
I can see that persuading you otherwise is a lost cause, but you will proceed with the utmost care.
Couple of children and what? A sellsword? Is this an insult?
You want to be on your ass begging for mercy, you little blue-haired bitch?
Not in the least. You will find that they are more than qualified to speak on our behalf.
There are many dangers on the road ahead. I will need that back.
You will be received as invited guests, and so I urge you to observe proper social etiquette and conduct yourselves accordingly. Your safe return takes precedence above all else. Remember this. Thancred, in particular, will be worried sick if you're gone too long. May the Fury watch over and keep you. Are you and the children ready? I will explain the route once we are outside your camp. If anyone attempts to follow us, we will judge it an act of hostility. We will not hesitate to take appropriate measures. I gotta make him sound like a little bitch. I would expect nothing less. You have our full cooperation. Bitch, Julius. Is this in the building or okay? Alright, this is far enough. Listen carefully. We head over that hill, then follow the road until we reach Liminal Station 4. Children in the lead. I want you where I can see you. We do have names, you know. I'm Alice and he's Alphanode. And last but not least, there's MSQ. MSQ, where have I heard that before? No matter. Alphanode and Alice will watch the road ahead while we bring up the rear. I wasn't lying about there being many dangers, so you're to run, not saunter, run towards the station. If you even think about going for your weapon, the deal's off. Should any creatures bar the way, we go around them. This must be the road he mentioned. If we follow this, it should lead to the station. Not the easiest surface to run on. We'd better not draw attention. That's the station, I presume. This is it. The first stop, that is. Good. It looks like your friends knew better than to follow us. Are these your headquarters? No. We're stopping here so I can check your pursuers. Since it appears you've kept to your side of the bargain, we can carry on. North of the station is Regio Dumorum, one of the main residential areas, or at least it was. The afflicted roam the streets in packs. They'll tear us to shreds if given the chance. Keep close, no wandering off, understood? From here, we'll be heading northeast, keeping to the left of the railway. While the route itself is straightforward, getting past the hordes unseen is anything but. Keep your weapons at the ready. They would attack their own countrymen? Aye, they spare their own but slaughter the rest without hesitation. Though we'll try to avoid detection, the chances of sneaking by completely unnoticed are slim at best. I will lead the way, but in the event we are seen, you're to fight them off. Those two will follow us, provided they can refrain from drawing their weapons. While I doubt they'd be foolish enough to stab their guide in the back, I will not take that chance. With that said, let us proceed. I see why your comrades chose you. Julius, our contingent has a cure for the afflicted, or tempered, as we call them. Your people would need to be taken into custody that we may administer the treatment, but they would eventually regain their sanity. Is that so? For all I know, your treatment would simply force them to forsake one master for another. As far as I and my legion are concerned, they are no longer our peer. They're not people? What the fuck is wrong with me? They are no longer our people. They're beyond saving. Those who thought differently and tried to reason with them were butchered for their bleeding hearts. Come, we have to keep moving. Looks like we're not being followed. We will continue onward. It doesn't sound like that. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna make him try to sound like the stupidest person on the planet. Because I hate his fucking guts. I meant what I said. These people deserve only death. I stayed my hand before only out of a desire to remain undiscovered, and that is still the higher priority. We should continue to avoid any unnecessary confrontations. Keep following the railway. All right, so now we're gonna go to the Aetherite. Am I gonna be able to go down into the tunnel and climb that, or am I gonna stay above ground? So let's see. We'll follow the railway. Look at what they have become. Would you still stand there and claim that they could be cured? Those exposed to a vast quantity of a primal's aether may suffer severe corruption. Even with treatment, such victims are beyond salvation. Then you admit it. Now that you have seen those monstrosities for yourself, perhaps you will think twice before speaking of a cure. Oh, I'm grabbing this aetherite. Can I grab this aetherite? Where is this thing? Hang on. I believe I know where I need to go. Maybe I'll get it eventually. I'll get it eventually. We're almost there. You have kept your side of the agreement, so I will keep mine. This way. This is Tertium, one of Garlemald's largest stations. It now serves as our headquarters. I've already sent the twins ahead. I'll be with you soon, so wait for me at the bottom of the stairs. Grab the aetherite. Oh, it's not responding. Shit. It's plain to see why they chose this as their base of operations. They could have done a lot worse, even so I imagine it's not the easiest place to live. Indeed, and if Julius was willing to make the perilous journey to Camp Brokenglass in search of food, their own supplies must be all but exhausted. They may be shielded from the wind and snow, but it's still bitterly cold. Much like Victor's spoils, it must be a constant struggle to keep their people warm. Lower your voices. While you may be here as my guest, the others will not take kindly to your presence. My commander is in the locomotive over there.
These are their chosen representatives.
Very well. Let us hear what they have to say.
Yes, sir. I present to you our commander, Lord Quintus Vankina, Legatus of the First Legion.
The first? I had no idea you had survived.
We lost our emperor, our city, more than half our troops. for my wounds. I may never take the field again. But we survived, aye. In a manner much to your liking, I dare say.
We have no intention of adding to your misfortunes, nor do we bear you any ill will.
Spare me. Though you children may speak in earnest, overtures of peace ever ring hollow in my ears. So long as man stands to profit from his neighbor's suffering, war is inevitable. Driven from our ancestral homeland into this blasted waste. Yet still you yearned to rob us of our paltry scraps. 'Twas only with Magitech that you learned to keep your distance. Though we knew it was only a matter of time before you regrouped and returned. Conquest and empire were our only defenses. Emperors Solus and Varus understood this, and through their campaigns saw us grow and prosper. Much blood has been spilled in Garlemald's name, aye. But if it is a choice between yours and mine, then it is hardly a choice at all.
I do not deny that a great many conflicts throughout history were driven by the desire or necessity to gain by another's loss. That is not why we are here. Nor have we come to petition your aid in the war with the Telophoroi, grave though that threat may be. Our purpose is simply this. We wish to help you. Let us help you. If there is aught that can be done to ease your plight, we would be glad to do it.
Perhaps you would. But regardless of the ideals you espouse, your leaders would not send an army into Garlemald if they did not stand to benefit. If we accept their aid, they will expect their efforts to be rewarded once the Telophoroi are no longer a threat. And after compensation and concessions, the great empire would be brought to heel. Her enemies rejoice at her downfall. Our third eye, a mark of shame.
We won't stand idly by and let your people be humiliated. And we're not alone in that. We only want to make a difference, to make this world of ours better. Surely you can understand that. What I'm trying to say is, there are so many people who just don't care about making you suffer. And maybe that's almost insulting after all the suffering you feel the world has subjected your people to, but believe it or not, that's the truth. And now we're here, and all we're asking is for you to tell us what you want, what you hope for.
So much blood has been shed, so much lost. All because of this endless war. Who wouldn't want to end it? Can we not work together to face our problems as one?
Answer me this, young peacemakers. If a world without conflict is your desire, why reject the unity and prosperity of Garlemald? Is it because we do not share your faith? That we do not share your heritage? That our ideals and virtues differ? That we cherish and hold in the highest that which you do not? Disparity is the root of discord, and peace built on compromise is flawed and fleeting. Happiness for one and all is a dream, and the reality is that to the victor go the spoils. That is why we Garleans will never submit nor surrender. For freedom and for pride, we will remain true to ourselves until the bitter end. That is my hope. It seems there is nothing more to say on the matter. You will remain here while I decide what is to be done with you. Do not be alarmed. No harm will come to you if you cooperate.
We will not resist. However, as your guests, I ask that we be allowed to speak with the other members of your group.
As you wish. I had no intention of locking you up, as by dawn you would be frozen stiff and you're no good to me dead. You are free to move about the encampment, but there is one condition. Collar them.
What are these?
Incentive. You'll be watched at all times. Stray too far or act suspiciously, and we will administer a rather painful shock. Stop! Keep away from that one. The champion of Eorzea is not so easily cowed. Even if he allowed himself to be collared, the shock would be no more than an itch. No, if he refuses to obey, we will activate the twins' restraints instead.
You needn't worry about us.
We'll forget we're even wearing them soon enough.
Even now, you still... Why go to such lengths? What is it all for?
On the coldest, blackest of nights, meager though it may be, we must share the warmth of our fire.
You are a curious one. A far cry from the merciless barbarian others paint you to be. You will be their warden. Take them away.
Yes, sir.
As per Lord Quintus's instructions, I am to supervise you during your time here in Tertium. Before you ask, no, I don't have a key or any other means to remove your collars, nor would I tell you if I did. And if you try anything, you'll soon wish you hadn't. So, do you truly intend to speak with the others, or was that merely a ruse? We're in no hurry to disobey Lord Quintus, if that's what you mean. Or perhaps you doubt the wisdom of his decision. Do as you will, but remember, I'll be watching. If I catch wind of you doing anything untoward, trying to trick our people into turning their coats and the like, those shock collars will be the least of your worries, understood? Though we're somewhat compromised, to put it lightly, let's not waste this opportunity. I suggest splitting up and learning what we can of their situation, and above all else, don't use magics of any sort. You, on the other hand, may go wherever so you wish. Even outside the camp. I know full well I couldn't stop you if I tried. But do not forget, if you do anything to endanger us or our interests, Alphino and LSA will pay the price. It's you, MSQ. I served under Lord Gaius in the 14th Legion. I was there on the night the Praetorium fell. You and your adventurers. You killed them. My comrades, my friends. I swept them aside in their dozens as though they were nothing to you. And maybe I am too. Just another faceless enemy to be cut down. But it won't be long until our countrymen return. Until you get what you deserve, mark my words. So cold. This young soldier is on the verge of losing consciousness. I know who you are. The so-called champion of Eorzea. Come to gloat, have you? I'll wipe that smirk off your face, but the blood of our fallen compatriots, I swear I'll... Ugh. Damn. For the sutures. For all the times. The worst of the lot within striking distance, and I can't even muster the strength. If it weren't for the third bleeding us, it would be the end of you. Regalia's treachery nearly cost Lord Quintus his life, but we made our escape. Took shelter in a mansion, tended to the wounded as we prepared to strike back, and then night fell. We gathered around the radio. Then the roar, the terrible roar. The capital was in chaos, but we were spared. If you can call this a mercy, mind intact but body broken, a soldier in name alone, I'd cut you down where you stand if I could, murderer. This radio is the same model as the one used at Victor's spoils. Perhaps it is what saved the soldiers here from being tempered. You came with Julius, didn't you? Well, whatever business brought you here, you'd best keep your hands off that aetheryte. It's deactivated, but I'd rather you didn't mess about with it. There are others throughout the city, built by Garleans, for Garleans. Could teleport all over in the blink of an eye, provided there was a terminal nearby. These days, however, we use the aetheryte's power to keep this place lit, though that comes at the cost of its normal function. Did you learn of anything of note? Then your findings are consistent with mine own. Their plight is desperate indeed. The sick and injured are at greater risk. Without warmth and proper nutrition, I fear they will soon perish. I realize there is precious little we can do for them at present, but I cannot bear to see them suffer. Please, will you help tend to them? Who's there? My eyes, I can't see all that well. Thank you. The numbness has subsided a little, but I know I won't last much longer. You should look to the others who can still fight. Give them my ration. If me going hungry means someone else lives to see another day, so be it. At least I can still serve in that way. So those you met fare no better. I was afraid you would say that. I know we were warned against meddling in their affairs, but we can't leave them like this. Perhaps we might gain permission to have the contingent deliver supplies. Quintus may have made his feelings on the matter quite clear, but even he must recognize they are not in a position to refuse help. Maybe Julius could persuade him, though we need to persuade Julius first. That's right, I'm in your face, bitch. Well, seen enough. Julius, the people here have barely enough food and fuel to survive. Have you and the other soldiers been able to procure any more supplies? We've been scavenging provisions from the nearby houses, as most families kept, some stored away in the event they were snowed in. Still, going out and getting it is dangerous work, and we've a lot of mouths to feed. Fuel is a greater concern, though. We had some ceruleum set aside until it was stolen. We haven't identified the culprit. Could have been other refugees or one of the afflicted for all we know. Either way, we're down to the last dregs. Without the heating they need, those in poor health are only going to get worse instead of better. If it's ceruleum you need, our contingent has secured a ready supply. We can have some sent over. We will not accept your charity. If we can hold on a little longer, the situation is sure to change. Everything will change. Those mysterious countrymen of yours, I assume? Heard something of it, have you? Well, from what I've seen, there's little you could do to interfere, so there's no harm in telling you. One of our scouts spotted a hooded man issuing instructions to the afflicted, or in the bastard's words, loyal servants of the Telefroi. Then he made his way inside the Imperial Palace, or what stands in its place. We'd identified the seat of the enemy's power, we realized. Lord Quintus dispatched a messenger to the 10th Legion saying as much, and instructing them to join forces with the provincial legions, to prepare for a combined assault on the Telefroi. Once our allies arrive, your contingent will be sent running for the hills. Then we shall reclaim the capital by our own hand. And how do you intend to survive in the meantime? At this rate, many of your countrymen will perish long before reinforcements reach Garlemald. They need help now. Say the word and we will bring you Ceruleum. I will speak with the Lord Quintus. So, did he agree to it? No, he will not place Garlemald in the debt of her enemies. I have, however, been ordered to search for Ceruleum outside. As you are under my watch, you will come with me. Very well. After all, many hands make light work. You lot are more trouble than you're worth. Once we are outside, you will follow my instructions to the letter. We depart shortly. We will begin our search for Ceruleum in Regio Urbanissima. The first location is Forum Soleus, a park to the northwest of the station. You are to remain close at all times and act only as ordered. Follow me. So, this is the park. I'm surprised they found space for one amongst all these buildings. Actually, the recreational areas came first. The houses were later built around them. A healthy society requires communal spaces for children to play and adults to socialize. This park was named after the founding father of the Empire, the great Solus Zosgalvis. Did we come to extract Ceruleum from the wrecked Magitech armor? No, we've already drained it dry. Same goes for the rest of the Machina in the vicinity. But as our Ceruleum has been stolen, we must scour the city for every last drop. And while I don't expect to find anything here, decided to try one more time in case something has been overlooked. I see. Then with your permission, we will commence the search. Can't find this shit. Oh, it's you. Any luck? There's no sign of any ceruleum. Hardly surprising, but disappointing nonetheless. I couldn't help noticing you gazing at the pond. Is something the matter? But, yes. I mean, no, It's just, I used to bring my brother and sister here to play. The pond was heated to stop it from freezing over. Like all the other children, they just had to wade in and splash about. Would have stayed there if I didn't drag them out. It'd be sopping wet when all was said and done, every time. And every time we'd get home, Mother would scold us, saying we'd catch our death walking around like that. The pond was heated. With a ceruleum-powered heater, by chance? I suppose it must have been. Come to think of it, I remember seeing engineers changing out a tank beneath a hatch. But that was a long time ago, when the water still flowed clear and wasn't this brackish muck. We can't see a thing, and I can't remember where the hatch might be. With the machinery most likely broken, the amount of filth in there is probably the only reason it hasn't frozen over. I'd wager it's still unbearably cold, though. Julius, what are your thoughts on magic? The average Garlean would jump out of their skin if they saw it, but the first has a few foreign signiferi and Medici, so it doesn't scare me. Then I take it you won't mind if I employ a little now? Alphanode, as you have a knack for finding dry wood, why don't you bring me some? Once that's done, a blast of Verfire should do the trick. Leave it to me. You're not planning to go in there, are you? Of course I am. That tank isn't going to fetch itself. It's nothing so involved as extracting unprocessed ceruleum from a frozen lake like how the tappers do it. We're talking about a shallow pond in a park, and we have a way of warming ourselves up after. But that's insane. So, fancy a dip? Little friendly competition make things interesting. Last one to find a ceruleum tank is a rotten egg, though I dare say we'll both smell like rotten eggs when this is over with. We open the hatch and retrieve a ceruleum tank. But it's cold. However, your grand discovery comes at great personal cost as you become acutely aware of the freezing cold and a rancid odor emanating from every imb of your body. Julius will doubtless feel compelled to pinch his nose shut when you deliver him your prize. Did you find anything? I hope you did. That's it. And there's still some ceruleum left. Ah, the fire's still not ready. Hold on, I'll give Alpha another hand. Call me an old den, because by fire I am reborn. My clothes are mostly dry now, too. I appreciate you recovering the ceruleum, but I wish you'd taken the time to discuss the plan with me beforehand. Despite the way you've been treated, in Lord Quintus's eyes, you're still envoys deserving of protection. If you were to die on my watch, he would be most displeased. Your concern is duly noted, but all's well that ends well. Julius, you mentioned coming here with your younger siblings. Did you grow up in Garlemald? I did, not far from here. My father was an accomplished researcher in his youth, and for his contributions to the Empire awarded an estate. We lived well, better than many. What was Garlemald like in those days? Everything. It was everything you could imagine and so much more. Even during the coldest winters, we always found warmth and comfort at home. Coming in from snow, taking off your coat and sitting down for a hot meal with family, visiting friends and relatives, receiving that same welcome, knowing they had everything they needed. Walking down the street, seeing the lights in all the houses, hearing the faint sounds of laughter and song, of happiness. And although the summers came and went all too quickly, in that brief respite, the ice would melt and the forgotten grass make its triumphant return. Gray clouds gave way to blue skies. Some mornings we'd climb to the top of the tallest building to see if we could find watch the sunrise. Never again. Those rooftops are rubble, those friends dead, and those memories. But if I could reclaim even a fraction of once we had, soon our chance will come. We just need to hold on a little longer. We got some gloves, which is great because the gloves that I have don't match. I just have like long pink nails. There we go. This computer stuff is great. Alright, now that you've recovered from your escapades in the pond, there's another location I'd like to search just outside the park. As you can see, this place is littered with the remnants of various types of war machina. While my comrades and I have already recovered the tanks from the less damaged units, those that took a more severe beating are harder to scavenge. We decided to save those for another time. That time being now. Rather than prise them apart piece by piece, it'd be quicker to remove their outer casing using compact explosives. With luck, we'll gain access to the tanks without rupturing them. Though the force generated by these devices is relatively weak, I would advise you to stand well clear to avoid being hit by any shrapnel. Before even bothering, though, you should check the Machina's ceruleum gauge to see if there's any left. It should still provide an accurate reading even when the unit itself is inactive. If the gauge is broken, I'll let you decide whether to use an explosive or not. Should you need more, come to me. Understood. Let's get to work. Alright. And blowing shit up, we will do in the next one. That's going to do it for this one. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you. Take care.